as our day ends, let's chit chat about the fun that an empowered woman has in being able to be present. So, we got to learn a little bit today about integration of the brain. As always, I get that information from Daniel Siegel and about the guitar. And so, a first note being plucked and the rest sounding with the first, but not becoming a part of the first. Okay, so that's what an empowered woman can share with you is that we love to be able and be that portal where we get felt, another gets felt. So, man, women, days. And therefore, we get to support each other on this lovely journey to healing because you heal trauma when a charged part, any charge can be. You don't have to have childhood developmental trauma, but trauma charges are there. And so when that fragment gets seen, it's no longer isolated. And that's what being present. And for those who are 5D mystics, raise your hand. Here's a divine feminine right here. And we're in the enlightenment soul age group, some of us. Others are 5D functional adults. That's the Christ consciousness. So you are an emotionally aware, accountable, self-regulating person, and your thoughts, inner growth mindset. Okay? Woo-woo for those who don't believe in mystics, totally a-okay in the book of anyone who is also pseudoscience lady, bringing human, spiritual, and spirituality elements together. So supporting people with self-help, personal development. And we get to be here for those who are healing trauma seriously because they need a network of securely attached, empowered, healthy self-worth women, theys, and men. And there's that. Okay, now when we're present, as I was saying, you let go of needing certainty because you're in this state of awareness, which means that you're aware of your internal body and you know how to differentiate and link. Okay, and so by just being in a room with another person, they're talking to you, you're attuning, and you resonate because you're using words together. And the beauty is that every one of us, as Daniel Siegel shares, is a complex system that is seeking to return to its optimal self-organization. And so to become a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable brain. Okay, our embodied brain is a nervous system. And when they meet another, that's where those blockages to the differentiation or the linkage or both that was getting in the way for the system would be the person, it gets to be optimized and healed when with another who will welcome them. Okay, but that's because two people and or more are in a room deciding to chit chat. So not allowing yourself to justify rigidity or chaos, which is instead what happens when people allow their 16-year-old is what I'm going to put the Cusco teenager to lead the way. Okay, so if you get rigid, it means you shut yourself the heart down. Chaos means that you get really upset. And as for people who don't know who they are, so I know myself. If you know yourself, then you know if you're secure attachment. If you're a differentiated self, can you work always with emotions and thoughts or not? Okay, so when I asked somebody recently who is securely attached, how hard is it for you to work with emotions? They said a 7.5. I got 0 to 10 because for me, it's not hard. Emotions are easy to do. We welcome emotions for the ones of us who have the whole 3-year-old heart. And, you know, for me, I have a twin, I have a mom, I got a child-centric environment, and I completely love the inner growth mindset. As I finished the courses, I was like, I've been implementing it my entire life. And then I laughed. I was like, well, of course, you can't create something, you can't write, you can't conceptualize if you haven't learned it, applied it, and do it. So this is the part of where we know if we have abstract knowledge. So when you've heard it, right, that's wisdom, analyzed it and processed it, that means you've understood it. Like with my attachment trauma courses, I'm attachment trauma informed. I continue my courses, and as a person, I can also apply it. Like, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm cool. Integrated brain, great, and internalized it, and you take it in and you experience it, right? So take it as yours experientially, and that's integrated knowledge. So what you have here is I'm a human being myself, and this integrated knowledge is then shared with the community of who wants to be their self, and we then again support the ones who are also supporting themselves to return home to their optimized version, and they don't have to, which is why we have the Human Suffering Love narrative group. So people who don't choose to return home to their inner world, those first 3 years, again, are very important, implicit memory. Then you have the other is explicit memory, and the 0-1, if it's not securely attached, we have a self that will be fragmented for disorganized attachment. We have a self that will be invisible for the ambivalent, and we have a self that will be for the avoidant, cut off from their emotional plane until they choose to begin to have that divine feminine, divine masculine, and that's that somatic relationship, and so mind and body. Okay, and on that note, it is a choice to become who you want to be in life. And again, you can't heal trauma with the wrong people. So when people meet the squirrels from Cusco land, those controlling, angry, grandiosity in the love dependent Terry Real's relationship grid, there's women and men that fit those descriptions, and these I'm sure as well. You will notice that they do kind things like the good guy, good gal, or whatever, nice boy, nice girl, those cliche stereotypes that they have out there. And it's cliche and stereotypes because when people begin using buzzwords and they weaponize that, which is what I see, we have controlling, angry squirrels all over town with their superhero capes, the mantles of mental health, the mantles of I want to be there for people, the mantles of spirituality, spiritual bypassers, the ones who say they are connected and they don't love all 8 billion plus growing people with unconditional love, knowing that everyone began life as a 0-1-year-old and that we can all support each other to heal, again, those trauma charges and to work to get that body back to its optimized state, because the body of yours keeps the score, the mind keeps the count, and they're both seeking to return home to their wholeness. So the body seeking to return to secure attachment and restorative embodiment. The brain, the mind, is seeking to get all of that trauma memory stamped. So every night when you go to sleep, the hippocampus, it wants to stamp that. That's why Patrick McNamara, neuroscientist, he shares no demon in a body of a person when they say demonic possession. He studies all of those religious and different spiritual, shamanic, all of that, all of it. He has an interview with The Well and Big Think on that, or one of the two. Really great interview. I have his book on the religious self as well. I also know from Daniel Siegel about dissociative identity disorder and disorganized attachment in one of my courses, and also with NICABM, 2 courses with trauma. Well, trauma is 3 or 4, and then another one that talked and focused on dissociation, and this was with Bethany, and I forget Bethany's last name, and Ruth Lanius. So when you learn how the brain works, you understand what consciousness barriers and memory barriers are. And Dr. Daniel Fox shares with us how people with personality disorders in the antisocial group, we also have borderline personality that he looks at, and he's a specialist in personality disorders. All of those people can heal and work with a person like him. And in fact, it's mental and emotional intelligence. So again, there's plenty of ways that all people can get back home to their mammalian heritage. So we're here for those groups of people and for ourselves, and we build these lovely relationships of authentic, emotional, mental, grown-up land, but it's being an inner child adult, because we don't lose our inner child. She's right here. Okay, and so integrated brains, we are able to be present and to love to be around people, and that's all. We don't mirror because we know how to differentiate and link. And so again, like that guitar string, you pluck one. So I'm in front of you, you're vibing, I'm going to vibe with you. And as I vibe with you, I'm going to speak to you. And as we share a moment and we laugh and we enjoy each other and you're opening up and you're having a good time, that's what resonating and trust is. And so presence, attunement, resonance, trust, thank you, Daniel Siegel, is where an integrated brain who's flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, you're here because you have empathy, but you don't sit in your temporal junction. You don't ruminate. You don't do mirror neuron stuff. And some people in the sciences don't believe in the mirror neurons because there's not enough data, FYI. Thank you, Daniel Siegel, for that data point. And also other courses made me aware of this. So some of the sciences people in the mental health community believe, others don't. But we can put that to the side and just say when you move into the prefrontal cortex, you're in a physiological state of compassion. because my social engagement system is on. So you're the cord and I'm picking you up. I'm not threatened by you or your nervous system because I don't dehumanize you. I don't call you an energy vampire. I don't call you a dark aura. I don't call you a demon or an evil or any of that. I don't say because you're a man, I'm going to assume immediately or just be afraid of you or call you a monster and basically ridicule the whole, you're a man. When I see how extreme and exaggerated people get, like that whole bear and man video, it goes viral. Really? Now we're going to create all of, a group of people. So the same thing with women. Any extreme is a form in the book of a flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable brain with an emotional awareness. Any extreme is not the land of truth. It's called exaggeration. You got a mantle with a superhero group with Peter Pan's and Wendy's, and we got another, and they are the villains, and then they exchange. And here's what we have is two groups, and the group is human beings. So let's learn to love, accept, respect each other, and support each other to become adults. Maladaptive children are the ones who they do mind reading, thinking they can read each other's minds, versus Dr. Daniel Fox has a really great episode on how not to do it and why. So people with borderline, for example, they will read neutral faces as negative. I know why that is. Because any person who has any of the personality disorders has childhood developmental trauma, at least for some of the groups that I've heard him talk about. I shouldn't say all. Let me not do the all thing. So I forget data. I'll confuse it. FYI is not specifics. Just let me make sure to say that one. But from everything that I've learned, the gist of it is, yes, there's childhood developmental trauma. The first year of life, when you don't get secure attachment, your right brain is impeded in its growth. Corpus callosum, which connects your left and right mode. Hippocampus, which is your memory center. Prefrontal cortex, for you to engage with your ventral vagal state. Interconnected connectome, for you to integrate your brain. And so when people say yoga brings demons out of you, yeah, they don't know the truth. The truth is you got trauma shit in your body. Thank you, Peter Levine. And it's in your bones, in your muscles, and in your tissue. And people find it hard to believe. And Peter Levine's done a lot of research and studies. I don't find anything hard to believe if I know I'm learning from the experts, which I am. What I find hard to believe that people want to tell me they're not flat earthers and that I'm the woo-woo pseudoscience stupid lady. Okay, so I'm good with that because there are things I don't know about and I will fuck up data. But what I do know is what Peter Levine says, and he hasn't made it up out of his ass. And Stephen Porges, he's doing a great job at sharing with us, and he's still studying. He's still doing his quantitative so that he can build enough of the sample. So, we'll find out how that goes. It's ongoing. In the meantime, as a human, what I can say is my ventral vagus nerve is awesome. I'm always engaged in it, so I enjoy being around people, and differentiating and linkage gets easier and easier by the day, because that's exactly where your restorative embodiment and secure attachment, again, is your mammalian heritage. So your body's looking to get that stuff out. It's when people have self-soothing mechanisms that are drugs, fucking, drinking, not because they can't do any of that. No, that they do this in a wheel. And I've seen the Pinocchios with ears and tails. They turn into donkeys, some of them. They watch movies like Hangover, Mean Girls, and they say, no, that's emotions, Maria. And I say, well, it's your sympathetic emotional stuff. And really, I'm not sure about, how you're understanding all this child part stuff either, which you're not. So when people don't want to learn about their 0-1-year-old and 3 to 7 lives with them, and then they're freeze of all ages, and then the 11, 12, and the 14, 15, 16, and that's usually the leader of the pack. So technically, when I do go out and notice that I'm around teenagers, it's the low self-esteem indirect communicators. They're passive aggressive. They are controlling because they don't know healthy boundaries, and they also don't know how to actually talk. And which is why they turn into the squirrels from Cusco land and become, why me? Or I'm going to make sure you get what I know you deserve because I decided it, because now I'm angry at you, and because I know everything. So when people get vindictive, it's really sad. And I've seen women justify it, by the way. Now, men, they justify it too. In fact, I actually have a story, but I won't share it in this one because it's getting dark. I'll share it in some other one. But yeah, this was a very interesting story, is a very interesting story that took place a long time ago. And I did tell my friend about it. I told him once we reconvened that I was planning on not calling him up because he was really, really in a bad mood and said things that were very, very not nice. And so I didn't want to call him, but I said, I owe you money because we made a bet and I lost the bet. And I'm a person of my word, meaning that I knew that I had made a bet and that I had lost it and I had thought I was not going to lose it. And so here's the part about when you're an objective person and you like to keep a clear conscience, it's more of holding that value body. You know, I needed to make sure, do you want the money? Because it was only $1, but that was the part. I still owed him $1. And some people, you know, they don't forget stuff like that. Other times you don't have it. And there are people who are very nice. And this is not about the bet. This is about money in general. I was thinking about that one too, because there are people who come through for each other in moments of need. And that is really nice. And in my friend's story case, they did say, yeah, I'm sorry, I was really upset. And I was like, yeah. And in this case, for example, I have men that I know, like women, who are the shame of the relationship grid from Terry Real, which are manipulative in the desperation arena. And it's the why me, nice guy, nice gal attitude, which is the story they tell themselves, is that I am consistently getting controlled and or used by others, and then they flip it up, and that's the part of where it's flipping, because there's only so much that your inner critic is going to take before it becomes outer critic, and that's not balanced, which is where the balance is in unconditionally loving, having flaws and imperfections, growing up emotionally and mentally, and becoming functional adults. So let's keep coming back together to bring healthy boundaries, to bring conversations, to support those who are looking to have a nice, fun ride with each other, and the ones who want to heal their trauma and do things with their own lovely optimization. Every inner child adult. We'll be back with more. Like, subscribe, share, and thank you for tuning in.